Welcome to the Keyframe Sequencer tutorial, and in this tutorial we're going to just try and use a tool to do something which we can do very fast, which will be very time consuming and laborious if we wanted to do it using Adobe Premiere or some other video program with image frame capture. We can do extremely quickly, and we might have called this tool the Mewbridge or the Mary sequencer or chronophotographer, because this is rather like in the 19th century with the race to try and capture a series of photographic frames to show how things have changed over time. We're going to do that. We're going to try and capture, say, this woman here when she starts to run, to see what happens around this table as she begins to run. So if we just play. So we could just go back a bit there and see he's just starting the countdown now, and she turns her head, and then she's going to begin to run. So if we open the tool, which is here under the clock icon for temporal things, features, click on the Keyframe Sequencer, we get this window open. All we have to do is move. It's a camera. You can see it's looking at, it's already set to show just one frame, and we can position it around here. We could zoom in and out, so we could zoom to show a shot which is, let's say, fairly close to them. We're going to try and see what happens. For example, the number of frames, we can decide how many frames we want to see. The frame interval is what's the difference, how many frames are there between each image. So we're going to look into the future. So at the moment we've got one frame. If we just move it a little bit, we can get 2 frames, and that's showing us instantly 5 frames into the future. The first frame is at the current time code, and this one is in 5 frames in the future. If I move to 3, now we're, as you can see, she's beginning to turn her head. I can move it closer, so I can see she's beginning to turn her head. This is 10 frames ahead. We can move to 4, and then that's at 15 frames ahead from the current position. This is looking into the future. The video is still in the same place. And we could keep going. So if I keep going up, we can have 12 frames in total. And what you see is she's beginning to turn her head. Each is 5 frames ahead, and then she begins to move her body. She's starting to launch herself, and she's launched, and now she's disappearing outside. So we could turn it so we capture her a little bit. Maybe we could take down the frame interval. So if I turn down to 4, it readjusts everything, and then we're just seeing her leaving the images, and then she's gone. That's the last of her disappearing. So that's every, 4. This is 4. Yeah, they didn't change that to still at 5. And then we see her just beginning to launch out. So what we've captured is every 4 frames into the future. So we can adjust the zoom. We can adjust the frame interval up to quite a high number. So several seconds between each image. So it would be like stop motion photography. And what we can also do is save this to disk. If I click this, it will save this number 1, and then we'll be working on number 2. And that will have all the information of the date and the time and the frame numbers for each panel. And so every image will be separated, will be stored as a unique image in that folder. And then we could save another one and another one, and we can do endless numbers, instantly changing. But not only that, this is capturing what's happening in at this particular camera viewpoint. But if I grab this now and then I rotate this, I am actually looking into the future. So we can see here she's just beginning to come into the frame by the end. I'm looking into the future everywhere. There's not much happening over here. We could turn around to here and see, oh, we're also looking into the future here. So as he turns, he himself is beginning to launch into running. Maybe it's a bit later than she is. She is already almost halfway down the room, and he hasn't really moved that far. So there you get some idea. Anywhere we look now, we're looking into the future. So you don't have to do anything. When you do have to do a refresh is if you play the video. So for example, if we play the video, that's 1 frame ahead, 2 frames ahead, 3 frames ahead. I just go a few frames ahead, and she's turning her head behind us here. And now I refresh, it adjusts. And now we see we've lost her much earlier because we jumped a few frames. This is now the current frame as she's turned her head, and then she begins to run. So you can adjust the frames at any point. You can adjust the frame interval or the zoom level and change the number of images you want, and save to disk the new version with all the information that's necessary. So it's a very powerful tool because it allows you to instantly create a series of square images capturing some event as it unfolds, or just take a peek at it to see how it evolves into the future at a specific frame interval, and then to be able to look elsewhere, looking also into the future at the exact same frame interval. So we could take a save to disk for this, and then we could move over here and do exactly the same, starting the same frame number, the same frame interval, and get an idea of, so we can see here he has started moving now. So it's extremely powerful. So I'll end here, and you could try this yourself on the Lego demo data or your own data to create a nice keyframe sequence. And they're stored on disk. Look in the folder, in the images folder, and you'll see that.